About the talk.
Yes, yeah. So just, and also let me know if you can't hear me, because I know I probably don't project enough. So, yeah, so when Dan asked me to talk about this about a year ago, I can't remember how long ago it was, I was sort of slightly reluctant, but then he suggested a title of One Man and His Dish. So then I thought, well, I've got to do a talk now. So, there is my dish, but I'll explain about what that is later on. So, this is my parabolic dish in sort of habitat in Poland, where it's actually quite a lot of the recordings I'm going to play tonight are from there. So, just first of all, I'm just going to give you an outline of what I'm going to talk about. So, first of all, like why would you record bird sounds in the first place? You know why? Yeah, that's one thing. I looked into a little bit. It's quite interesting, actually, looking into a bit of the history of bird sound recording. It goes back as far as actual sound recording goes, really, as far as I can see. And a few sort of practicalities about techniques and ways of doing things now. And I sort of peppered it with lots of recordings that I've made over the years. Because I've been doing sound recording probably almost as long as I've been birding, really. Because I've always been interested in sort of gadgets and that sort of thing. So I think I kind of started fiddling around with sound quite early on. And also, I'd like to encourage people to get out there and make their own recordings. You don't actually need that much equipment. A mobile phone is actually quite good. I actually make a lot of recordings these days just with a mobile phone. So first of all, I just want to talk about why I started doing it. Because sometimes when I'm out and about, especially with this thing, people say, "What are you doing?" And if I was with a camera, people wouldn't say, "Why are you taking photographs of birds?" But I've sort of found it a nice, a way of sort of having a more tangible record of places I've been. It's very sort of evocative because you get, like, you hear all the birds that are in the area. Like, if you just take a photo, you've just got just a snapshot. But with recordings, you've kind of got the whole background. And the other thing is, nowadays, there's lots of sort of citizen science type things out there to get a wide range of recordings of birds. So you might sort of think, well, one songthrush sounds like another songthrush, but around the world and even around Europe, there's lots of variation. If you go on, I think I've mentioned this next. Yeah, like for instance, all the noises that great tits make. Very, very varied species. So one, I was talking about sort of citizen science things. One big website that's been going for quite a while, that people might have heard of, is called Xenocanto. But also, I hadn't really heard about this one, but the Cornell lab, the people who make the Merlin app, they also have like a thing you can just sort of upload recordings as well. And I think those things go into their sort of machine learning thing as well. So I might start using them a bit more. So I've got quite a lot of recordings on Xenocanto, which started, I think, as a sort of like South American thing or something like that, and then just kind of branched out into the rest of the world. So now they've got recordings from all over the place. Thousands and thousands of species. They might even have recordings of just about everything that's been recorded, I think. So I'm a very pedantic person, so I'm just going to make a pedantic note now. You'll notice I haven't called it bird song recording. So I've said bird sound, and this is kind of a word. It's kind of a word I've used over the years. I don't really know how people refer to it in general. So I've just remembered I promised to record this, and I haven't started. Hang on a second. Right, that's going now. Yes. So I've used the term bird sound instead of bird song because, as you might know, birds don't just, the noises they make, some of the noises they make are what you call song. So they make a variety of sounds, some of which we call song, and some things we call calls. So song is, I suppose, it's really usually like a song of a species, but with calls, it's a whole range of things that noises they make, and they make them for all sorts of different reasons. So a song is the sort of classic thing that's kind of quite a flashy sound, classically. So the typical example, let's see if this works. Oh, it's a bit loud, isn't it? I'll turn it down a bit. Does everyone know what that is? Blackbird, yeah? Yeah. That'll be one of the easier ones, I think. So this was recorded out when I used to live in London. I just stuck my dish out the window one night. There was one that was just always singing opposite me in Walthamstow. I just stuck it out the window. I think if I go on the street, people would have thought I was a bit strange. So I'll just start. These recordings are quite long, so I'll just stop that there. Probably if I left it going a bit, you'd hear some sort of Walthamstowians going about their business. And then the other type of noise you get is just calls. So everything else basically. So you've got like alarm calls. Like you hear the sounds that blackbirds make at night when they, for some reason, they seem to panic. I don't know when it gets at night. But there's also, Dan was talking about all the geese earlier on. This is the noise that pinkfoots make. It's a bit hard to hear really because there's an awful lot of them, but this was a massive flock. I think it was like 2,000 or something. This is down at Cochrane. No, sorry, Pilling, I think. And this recording is actually used by the RSPB on their website. Because if you put things on Xenocanto, you agree that they can be used by anyone. And they didn't even get in touch with me. I just noticed one day, I think I was Googling myself, found just to see what was going on, and I found that they had they put that on there. Oh, sorry. And then there's also other sort of borderline cases, I suppose, where I'm not quite sure in the sort of scientific nomenclature whether this is what happens, but really a sound is performing the function of a song, but you wouldn't really call it musical. It's not sort of like a nice noise. So does anyone know what this is? Oh, great. Nightjar, yeah. Got the experts at the front here. So that sound really is, that's a male nightjar displaying to attract for a territory and that sort of thing. This was recorded in Hampshire when I used to live in Poole. Well, actually, I think I lived in Christchurch at the time. But so I noticed a clearing, because if you go out to New Forest, you kind of just get them everywhere, basically. So if you just find a nice open area, then there's going to be some there. And then also, you even get some noises that aren't, producing mechanic. Oh, sorry, it's not working very well. This is it. So this is. Does everyone know what kind of woodpecker that is? Great spot, yeah. So that's actually recorded in Poland, but where there should have been all sorts of other crazy woodpeckers, but unfortunately all I saw was great spotted woodpeckers and a black woodpecker for about 2 seconds. And I didn't hear one drumming, a black woodpecker, because that would have been quite exciting. So that was just a little bit about the sort of what different types of sounds birds make. When I'm out and about recording, I'm sort of, trying to get as much as I can, and sort of just as interested in recording calls as songs. One thing I would like to get more of actually is there's two sounds that blue tits and great tits make that I can never tell apart, and so it'd be interesting to try and really pin that down. The earliest recording of birdsong, I just looked this up. There's a Ludwig Koch, who's this guy who I think he was born in Germany, I think, but I think he did quite a lot of stuff over here. So he became a sort of famous voice on the radio, I think. and he was given an Edison phonograph, which is like, you know, the wax cylinder type thing, by his dad when he was 8, and he recorded the first recording of a bird. I'm just going to play this little clip that I got off British Library.
In 1889, my father presented me with one of kind of toy. I was only 8 years old at the time, and as a musician I loved to listen to the song of caged birds. And without knowing it, I became a pioneer of recording nature sounds with this very primitive form of recording on a wax cylinder. The bird was an Indian bird, a sharma, a bird the size of our blackbird.
That's it.
In my young days, one of the favorite caged birds. This wax cylinder is the only one of my early recordings still in my possession. Listen to the primitive but first recording ever made of the sound of a bird.
So you almost wouldn't know it was a bird, really, I suppose, but that is the first recording. And I think I've said this next. So later on, I think it was maybe after he moved here. I think I've forgotten the details now. You can look it up. But I think he maybe got out of Germany before everything went tits up, and he made sort of proper recordings and started. I think he started actually, you know, publishing what you call sound books. You know, like that Jeff Sample book you can get. You know, where it's sort of like a guide to birdsong kind of thing. But there were some people, I don't think I've talked about this on here, but there were some people, I think after him, there were some brothers I looked up who went out trying to record things like nightingales in the woods with wax cylinders. And they had to do all sorts of stuff like accounting for the fact it was really cold, because, you know, wax cylinders are very sort of sensitive things. I can't remember what they did now, but they had to do something to kind of deal with the fact that they would just crack if they got too hot or too cold or whatever. So it's very fiddly compared to nowadays when I've just got this tiny little sound recorder that's better than all that stuff. But, yeah. So wild birds, the first recordings that are preserved were in 1929 in Ithaca, which is in New York State, I think it is. So that was, you can see, I've just got a picture here of the kind of equipment they were using. So you can see they're actually using a parabolic reflector there. I'll explain a little bit about how that works later. That's obviously a lot bigger than mine. You can sort of see the size compared to this guy here. But it's they had to carry the equipment around in the truck. So you can see that's my sound recorder now. You can barely see it just on the table there. On the chair there. I'll show you later. But so that they had to carry their equipment around the truck. I don't think it was a phonograph truck. I think it was. I don't really know what it was. It's a tape recorder type thing. So they pioneered using parabolic dishes. And I think the idea of using one of these dishes to kind of amplify things is something that was used in kind of in warfare. I mean, if you go down on the south coast, there's these huge concrete reflector things. Can't remember where it is now. Somewhere near Dover, I think. Dungeness. Yeah. So so that's an example of, you know, I think people could just sort of stand in front of them. So the Cornell lab, you know, those are the sort of at the forefront now of kind of doing sound recording and analysing it and everything. So what I want to talk about is, you know, the difficulties of sound recording. The main problem is birds aren't, you know, in a way they're not loud enough, you know, compared to the sort of surroundings and wind and people and traffic and everything like that. So what you want to do is amplify the sound. Well, I looked this up. Not sure if this is quite right, but I mean, apparently there are on average around 40 decibels, which is sort of like between a whisper and moderate rain. But I mean, obviously some things are a lot louder than that. But the general idea I'm trying to get across is that if you just kind of use a normal sound recorder, you might find it's quite faint, especially if the things are quite far away. So you need to try and kind of get the signal of the bird above the sort of background. So you're trying to increase the signal to noise ratio, which is a technical term for it. Yeah, so in other words, you want the bird to sound louder than everything else. So there's several ways to achieve this, and now this is the first approach, which that's what that is over there. So I brought my dish along. Yeah, we might not have time for this, but I thought you can try it out if you like, and see someone speaking at the back of the room or something, see if you can hear them. So the idea is, I don't really know much about physics, but you can sort of see in this diagram the way the sound waves are kind of concentrated into the back of the dish. There's a sort of an optimum point. So when you look at this, there's a sort of like a distance that this thing needs to be, so that there's a sort of sweet spot basically. So the idea with a parabolic reflector, what you're doing really is it's an amplifier. It's a sort of natural amplifier without having to kind of do it kind of with electronics or whatever. It's just a natural. If you could put your ear in there, then you would kind of hear things louder than they actually are. And I've actually used this with kids and that sort of thing around Leighton Moss, sort of setting up the dish, and you can actually sort of hear things that you can't really hear well without the setup. So you plug headphones in and you can hear what's going on. It's very directional, that's the other thing. So that means that and that's a useful thing when you're recording birds, because you want to sort of make sure that you're not sort of recording everything else, or even like other birds. For instance, one thing that, if you're doing a lot of sound recording, one thing that can really get in the way is wrens, because they're ridiculously loud. So in theory you can focus on individual birds, and if you use one of these things, you can kind of like, sometimes if I'm doing kind of a long recording, I might sort of move it around a little bit to kind of focus on individual birds. The one thing I have noticed actually is that if something's behind, if you are picking up something quite loud behind, it sounds a bit weird. It sort of sounds like it's coming through plastic or something. Well, it is coming through plastic, but it's sort of sounds like from a swimming pool or something. So it's a bit, yeah. So the other approach, which I haven't used yet, but I would actually quite like to try this, is something called a shotgun mic. So the idea with this, this is some American lady having to go with this. So I think Sennheiser make quite a good one. So these are, one thing I'm quite attracted by is that they look a bit lighter, because when I go out with this thing, I sort of have to be just recording. I'm not really doing anything else. I can't go birding with a parabolic reflector really. I'm not sure if the amplifier is much, but I haven't tried yet. So, but people get quite good results with these things. So yeah. Jared was telling me the other day that he saw me with this out at Leighton Moss, and he was saying that when they're doing bittern surveys, because one way to tell individual bitterns is to kind of look at the fingerprint of the boom on a sonogram. You can kind of tell individual bitterns from that. These things don't really amplify low frequency sound very well. So like a bittern, I don't know what frequency it is. It's very low, isn't it? They don't amplify as well. So the other approach you can take is to actually literally put your microphone where the bird is, which I think is what people like Chris Watson, the guy, the really amazing sound recordist, the kind of thing he does. So he'll sort of know that there's something there, like a nightingale or whatever, and kind of put the thing there. Obviously, you could find that the bird is somewhere else, but so I was going to say before that I don't do this, but actually I found a recording in my sort of archives, which is probably going to sound very, very loud. This, but so that was a blue tit that was had it out the window. On the windowsill, and it just sat on top of the windowsill, on top of the microphone, basically, kind of shouting into it. So it was talking to its offspring. Yeah. So yeah. So I just wanted to sort of talk about how I got going with sound recording, because I've said I sort of started when I was about 10 or something, and in the era of the only thing that was available then was tape. So I just started messing around with a tape recorder and just sort of held it vaguely near birds. I was going to try and find a recording from then, but couldn't really find the earliest ones because I've got very bad record keeping. But I do sort of remember. I remember recording a common gull somewhere when I was on holiday in Scotland, and so now when I sort of think of the sound of what common gulls sound like, I kind of hear a kind of background of tape recording as well. Because when you record with one of those things, you get the sort of the noise of the machinery. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. And then I carried on recording, and the mini disc recorders came out, which is now obsolete again. So it's become obsolete as well. It was much better because it's digital, so you're kind of not getting all this machine noise and surface noise and everything. It's sort of, yeah, it's much better. The only snag is you can't. It's digital, but you're not getting. You can't sort of transfer them to a computer, and you just have to record off the thing itself. And then I eventually decided to splash out on a. This is a company called Talinga make these things. A lot of people who do sound recording use these microphones. Well, it's this setup really. I don't have a picture of me using this thing because it's always me on my own recording. So this French guy in Poland is going to have to do. He was interested to see if he could use this to. He had slightly poor hearing, and he's wondering if he could use this to kind of just hear birds, not to do his recording, just to sort of. He's wondering about getting one himself, because it's something that some people do, I think, to kind of the hard of hearing. They can kind of hear birds a bit better with this. So using a digital recorder instead of tape or mini disc means you can actually just transfer the recording straight to a computer with no faffing around, which is great. This dish is flexible, it's quite lightweight, so you can stick it in a suitcase. So I've taken it on holiday a few times. So this picture's taken in Poland. I took it to New Zealand as well, but I ended up actually not using it that much. But yeah. So I just wanted to talk about sort of the kind of different recordings types I do. So quite often, if I'm out, I'll kind of go out really early morning. That's kind of the optimum time really for doing recording. So this is when I went to Białowieża Forest in Poland, eastern Poland, in May 2018. I just woke up really early one morning and thought, right, I need to go. And it turned out to be an astonishingly good place for recording because it's so quiet. There's just no traffic noise. So yeah. So I'm just going to play a few recordings that I made while I was out there. First we've got this. That was just sitting on the roof of the place I was staying. Oh, thanks, Dan. Everyone know what that is? Swallow? Yeah? Yeah. I think it's Helen's favourite noise, isn't it? Favourite bird song. And the next one, I actually can't remember what this was now. Let's see. Oh yes. Might be a bit harder.
Nightingale.
Nearly.
Nightingale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You got it, Helen. Yeah. So this was like pretty close. So you can kind of hear it's basically just singing right into the dish. Slightly, almost like distorted, really. So it went on for a long time. And then the last one. Anyone know what this is? No, play. Oh, wait a minute. Is it still like that? Oh, hang on, I'm playing two at once now. That's no good. The habitat might be a bit of a clue here. A bit of reed bed.
Low throat.
Sedge warbler, nearly. So, someone said reed warbler, very close. Great reed warbler, yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that they quite often, they never really seem to get going properly, great reed warblers. They just sort of do this, and then sort of give up. Never heard one really go for it. Like it, because the reed warbler is actually a continuous noise, but yeah. I'll share this presentation around later on, so online, so people can, if you want to listen back to these things, you can hear again. Goodness, when you can hear other great reed warblers in the background singing away. And then the other thing is, sometimes I've just got the thing on, and then suddenly something will go. This one, this is down in Lee Valley, I think. Anyone know what that is? I'm not sure if I would actually, to be honest. That is. Oh, hang on. Or maybe I didn't say what it was. It's Great Crested Grebe. So it's just making some weird noise. You don't really hear them that often, really. And then this one, maybe just some water noise to start off with. I think he's a bird eventually. A little bit distant. I'll give you a clue that it was up in Scotland on Loch Garten. Yeah, that's right, yeah, red throat. Yeah, red-throated diver. Yeah. So that was the early morning. And then something I sort of have to make myself do sometimes is to be patient, because you can get really nice, if you just leave the thing running. And because I've got it I used to just carry it around, so it meant I was reluctant to do very long recordings because my hand got tired. But now I figure out a way to put it onto a tripod. So I recorded this in I think it's called Biebja. But actually, there's someone here who speaks Polish, isn't there? I can't remember. Ian, how do you say this? Biebja, Biebrza. Don't want to put you on the spot. But yeah, that might be a bit small. Sorry. Biebja. Yeah. So this is some marshes in Poland where there's breeding aquatic warblers. They're not actually on this recording, but so this was a sort of soundscape I did where I just left the thing running. Oh, sorry. And here are all sorts. There's quite a lot of things on here. That's the sort of the style of the show for me, anyway. Corn Creek, yeah. That's right, yeah. So we've got cuckoos, and then we've got snipe kind of making funny noises. And then the grasshopper warblers just reeling in the background all the time. Sort of constant noise. So I had this. I sent this recording into Radio 3. Have this thing called Sounds of the Earth, where they just get people to send in recordings. So they played this one morning. But I think they thought that the sound of the grasshopper warblers was some sort of insect, which they would do, I suppose, because they played music to kind of go with it. And they played some mosquito music or something. I'm just going to play a little clip, a thing that annoyed me about when the guy introduced it. Hang on. This is what he said.
As to Sounds of the Earth collage. Andrew McCafferty is clearly something of a twitcher, as to Sounds of the Earth collage.
So that annoyed me a little bit. I mean, I do sometimes, but it's just to assume. And then, yeah, this place has aquatic warblers, so I recorded them on their own. They were quite interesting because they're like an unenthusiastic sedge warbler. Now, I kept thinking they were going to get going and actually, properly do something, but actually they just do that. Is there anything else? Yes. You can hear some Polish bird watching in the background there.
Can I just ask, do you ever record something and wonder what the hell it was?
Yes, in New Zealand I did. In fact, I should have brought some of those recordings along. I just went out at dawn and I was just pointing my microphone up and saying, well, I don't know, there's something there. I can recognise grey warbler and that's it. Yeah. And it was starlings as well. Oh yeah, sorry, I've forgotten to put a picture up. So this is the place, this boardwalk. You walk down there, and if you're like me, you wear shorts and realise it's covered in mosquitoes. But it's this is in Poland. This is like the famous place to go and see aquatic warblers. The other types of recording, sometimes I do sometimes go twitching. So the guy was right, really. But and I sometimes, if it's a bird that's singing or whatever, then I think, well, I'll take my dish along and get a recording of it, or I just record it on my phone. But, the only problem is if you do it a twitch, that people might be making noises. But so the first one, I can't remember which one this is. Oh yeah. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but anyone want to hazard a guess?
It's a Lancaster Walker of some kind.
It is, yeah. It is savvy, so I suppose you could tell because I said it was a twitch. It wasn't stung with any grass. Yeah, that was down at Lodmore. I did actually manage to see it, which is quite good, but at the point when I had my thing running and I was recording, the only other person who was there decided he was going to have a bit of a chat. So, I've given the game away. I've given the game away for the next one. Does everyone remember this? Yeah, it's a rose finch. I'm going to show that had two problems with it. It's just right next to a busy road as well. But, and then sometimes the other problem is you have to record in not so ideal conditions. So this might be very difficult, this one. I'm not sure if I would get this one. Oh, sorry, I've given it away now. That's no good. Anyone who didn't see it? Tell me what it was. Yeah, it's a marsh warbler. So that was down at Lake and Heath. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is quite often when I'm out and about, I don't have my equipment with me because I'm not, like I said, I sort of have to purposefully go out. So I do an awful lot of recording just on phone. It actually works quite well if you're close enough. So I just wanted to give some examples of things that I've recorded like that. And phones used to be really rubbish for bird sound recording because they were sort of optimised for voice, but actually you can switch them now. Actually, if you use Merlin, you can it's sort of set up to not do that sort of optimisation. So. Oh yeah, so I just wanted to play these recordings. Oh, I've given the game away. I was going to ask you what this was with no context. But this was in New Zealand, as you've probably seen. So this was just recorded with my phone. It was just a really, really quiet night. So it's a male kiwi. North Island brown. Yeah, it was up in the far north of over the North Island. It's near a place called. It's on the Te Peninsula. which is near Marsden Cross, which is the first place the Europeans settled. And then, you might be able to guess what this is now if I play this. Ooh. This is also in New Zealand. Is it what, sorry? Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, I couldn't see this either. So I just had an evening wandering around this peninsula, just listening to things and not being able to see them because it was dark, obviously.
Sorry, what was it?
This is called a moorpork. Yeah, it's supposed to be because it says moorpork, but the Maori name for it is ruru. Yeah, that's what it looks like. This is not my photo. They're quite cute, aren't they? Yeah, that's one of the native. They have a few owls in New Zealand. That's one of them. Yeah, I think the other ones are actually things like barn owl, and they have introduced little owl, I think, as well. I just wanted to talk a little bit. I sort of alluded to this earlier, but if you want to make your own recordings, I mean, Merlin actually, although most people use it to kind of identify things, it's actually just quite a good way of just getting a recording of something. So this is one I made. I forgot what my notes say now. Yeah, so I'm just saying you can. One great thing about it is that you see the sonogram of the thing that you've recorded. So this is. Let's go full screen. Everyone know what this is? Sedge warbler, yeah? Yeah. So you can kind of see, just watch this bit here now. So you can see that descending sound, you can sort of see it really clearly on the sonogram. And this was recorded down at Allcliff, so that's why somebody's cycling past. I mean, it was really, really close, so that's why it's quite a good recording. But that's just with my phone, so just to show you how you can get quite good recordings. Just, another volley coming up, I think. Yes. There we go. And you can share the clip as well. So the recording that you make, it just makes what you call a WAV file, and then you can send it to people. You can send it to someone to say, is this really what Merlin says it is? And you can upload it to Xenocanter, or I think you can if you use eBird or something, you can kind of put it onto this Macaulay library they've got. Hang on. So I'm just trying to get to the next slide. Yeah, I just wanted to. I just realised I haven't done this as bullet points, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about, just before I nearly finished now, but I want to talk about sonograms a little bit. So a sonogram, I think it's also what you call it when you have a baby, isn't it? But or a spectrogram is a way of showing. Visually representing a sound. So the idea is that you've got frequency on the y-axis, so high-pitched sounds are higher up, low-pitched sounds are lower down. So if something's going, then it's going up like that. So this one is a sonogram of the recording of a common rosefinch that I did earlier. So you can see it's going. So it's kind of going. Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet. Is that showing up? Oh no, hang on. Yeah, so you can sort of see the structure there, and sometimes when there's something like, for instance, I wouldn't have thought that it was suddenly going much higher at the end there. So if we listen to it, you can't really hear that, but so it's a bit too quick. But so sonograms are a really handy way to kind of, and that's actually how Merlin, the Sound ID app. Works. It actually just it doesn't analyse the sound, it analyses the sonogram of the sound, because we have sort of techniques for doing image recognition, so it's just image recognition on sonograms. And the other thing I want to make, I haven't talked about not making a tool, but there are people now who, including me, who stick sound recorders out all night to kind of pick up night migrants, and you don't listen to the entire 8-hour recording. you put it into this is done with something called Audacity, which is a free sound editing program. So you get that, and just kind of zoom out and kind of look for interesting bits that are obviously not wind and not traffic or whatever, and you can spot the birds. And when people who do it a lot, they can kind of very quickly spot things that they expect to hear, and then you can listen to it obviously as well.
Is there a meaning to not nigger?
Oh, it just means nocturnal migration. Yeah, sorry, I should have said. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. There's Facebook groups for these things now, and you get these people kind of just saying, "Oh, what's this noise I've heard?" And you say, "Well, I don't know. It's just you get it's often very, very low quality recordings. It's very, very hard to hear what they are." But it's surprising what you get flying over. I mean, one of the really surprising things around here is common scoter. So I couldn't find my recording tonight, but so I just realised I'm not full screen anymore. I don't know why that's happened. So common scoter is a thing that you can hear, usually March sort of time. That you get nights with thousands and thousands of common scoter flying over, and you can hear them. They make this little sort of boop sort of noise. You can hear them flying over.
Would you hear that just with your ear?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. You have to be sort of tuned into it. No, I was leaving my mum's house one night, and I said, "Oh, there's scoters," and I thought she wouldn't be able to hear them, but actually, yeah, you have to sort of really just strain a bit. It's not like people might have heard like redwing flying over at night, and that's quite sort of piercing. But yeah. Whereas, can you do a common scoter? Sort of like
chimpanzees are like.
Oh yeah, it's almost like teal in a way. Yeah. Now I heard teal as well actually over my house when I ran the thing. I just wanted to finish by just talking about a sort of a star thing that somebody in the Bird Club found. So he was Josh Headley was at Spurn Point this year, and he heard a weird noise, and he very quickly had his phone with him. He whipped it out and recorded it. This is a little sonogram of it. I just wanted to. I don't think anyone will be able to guess what this is unless they know the story. So you hear that, like, mainly what on that recording, mainly what it is a wren, but in the background there was a thing flying over, and that's the sonogram of it there. I'll do a quick reveal now as to what it was. It was an upland sandpiper, which is a crazy bird beat. So he didn't know that's what it was, and in fact actually Merlin didn't tell him that's what it was either, but some people actually saw one flying over separately, and then he looked at the call and it matched. So yeah, I think that's all I was going to say really. So thanks very much. Don't know if anybody has any questions.
I know you're a polyglot as well as a twitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But what does Zima Canto mean?
I don't know.
Oh, good.
Xeno means like xenotransplantation from a foreign.
From foreign, yeah, so foreign songs or something. Foreign song or something must be, yeah. I've never looked into that. No, it's the first question you just got me straight away. Yeah. If we've got time, if people want to have a go, we've only got about 10 minutes, I think we'll do actually. Oh yeah, go ahead.
How much would the equipment cost?
That one, this thing, I think you can get cheaper ones than this, but the microphone cost about £400 when I bought it in whenever it was, I can't remember, 2010 or something like that. Some people say that Talinga mics are overpriced because it's quite handy. You know, it's kind of the setup is the way it kind of all fits together is quite good. If you had to sort of work that out yourself, it would be quite tricky. But I think the actual capsule, the microphone inside, I think if you're a real sort of audiophile person, you would say, oh, that's a bit rubbish, it shouldn't cost that much. I think in theory you can swap them out for different ones as well. But there are other, as they used to say in the BBC, other microphones are available. But you can get, there's much cheaper ones, I think. I don't know if they're as good.
You've just adapted to go on the tripod.
Oh yeah, let me show you. So, so the actual thing itself, what you actually get is this. So you've got this handle here. This is part of the sort of fiddliness of it. The wire goes in here, and then the actual microphone's off the end there. And the dish obviously is. It's supposed to be plastic with memory, I think you call it. So in other words, you can bend it and it comes back again. So it's flexible. It's quite lightweight as well. But that's what you get. And then I just got a. This is one of those clamps you can get for binoculars. I think that's what you call it. It's a binocular clamp. So you could put binoculars in. I just sort of found that you could use that, and it just makes it a lot easier. So people like Mark Constantine, who's the guy who started Lush, he's a very keen sound recordist, and he uses that kind of that one. I think with a better microphone inside and a better sound recorder as well. But yeah. So yeah, anything else?
So you edit your recordings on what software do you use to edit?
I just use Audacity. Yeah, it's a free thing. So for clipping, for just cutting out other stuff, I sometimes do a bit of. I'm not very expert with this, to be honest, but you can do filtering. You can basically you can do noise reduction sometimes if it's really, really messy. There's loads of sound, loads of traffic noise or something. Or you can cut it. You can do high pass, low pass. You can mess around with things a little bit. So I do sometimes do that, and amplify things as well if they're a bit too quiet. But yeah, I meant to say right at the beginning, I'm not an expert on. I feel I still have quite a lot to learn about the techniques and that sort of thing. And I'm not. I'm still refining my equipment, I suppose.
Does anybody use these for sort of point counts in sensors? So
I don't
I'm
know.
just thinking sometimes I'm absolutely overloaded at dawn with
Yeah.
It might be better to come back
Just-
home and play the.
Yeah, to see how many. Like you mean like there's one red wing, there's another one sort of thing. Yeah.
I just think more there's 5 wrens singing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, you mean like reading type things? Yeah.
Sensors
Yeah.
work,
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's an idea.
Do you know of anybody using it?
No, I don't know. No.
I think it's used, Kevin, in terms of when you need to be 10 places at once at night and people put things out
Yeah.
for to find nightjar territory. They don't have to be there, they just check the devices at the
Lazy
stage.
Yeah.
Should have done that.
Yeah, that's right. These sort of unattended recorders sort of thing, not data logger type things. Yeah. One thing I some people use these things at night to use it for knock making, but I'm too chicken to put my thing outside because I'm worried about it getting wet. But you get quite good results really. I think if you do one of those, because if something flies right over, then it's gonna be properly amplified. Yeah.
But of course, there's a percentage of bird species in Britain. Most of them migrate at night, don't they?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
So it's no wonder that it's become popular, and certainly nocturnal nig became very popular.
What in
When
the lockdown?
during lockdown.
During lockdown, yeah. So it's amazing what you can hear, flying over. You wouldn't realise it was there.
So some of the birds that you've recorded, I mean, you live in the town centre, don't you, just to make it clear. So
Yeah.
it's not that you have to be out in the countryside to
Oh,
hear
no.
these things here. So
No, the common scoter. I picked that up without running a thing overnight. I just heard them. Teal, Wimbrel I've had. Admittedly, I'm probably on the flight line to, what's it called? Mistlefell Lane, but yeah. Trying to think what else. And then the red wings. Yeah, it's surprising what you can get. Yeah.
Moorhen's quite a common one. I think.
Oh yeah, no, every time you get a weird noise, you think, oh, that's probably moorhen. Yeah.
So, when you record them all, like of an evening, would you just play a few tracks or like people listen to music?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, sort of reminisce and that sort of thing, yeah. Sometimes look back through my, because if on Xeno Canto you can kind of see everything you've ever recorded and sort of on a map and everything, so you can kind of, it's quite nice to kind of, look back, yeah. I probably don't do that enough, really.
It's a learning aid as well, isn't it? Not that I do a lot of recording, but
Yeah.
if I'm trying to find scarce birds or birds, just from learning, it's so useful, isn't it? Just to bone up on a few calls before the day before you go out or something like that.
And I've also found that by being a sound recorder, doing sound recording, like I said, I did it right from the start. It kind of made me look for, what's making that noise, sort of thing, and actually record it and sort of remember it that way. Yeah. Right.
Right, well,
Yeah.
thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. Thanks.